Okay, just a brief overview on the 3-day setups. Traders, high of week, low of week. So one of the things that we want to look for is whether or not there's been a false break heading into the new week, so a peak formation. And we'll just include that here. Peak formation high or peak formation low. We'll talk a bit more about the day count, but just in terms of heading into the new week, do we have any false breaks that have locked in a high or low of a week heading into the new week? Monday is our opening range. We're going to talk a bit more about that right now. And after Tuesday, we have our initial balance. So opening range is the high and low of Monday. That could be inside of a previous week. We could be in a day 2 from a Friday high or a Thursday high, Thursday, Friday, Monday. We could be in a Friday high or low into a Monday, Tuesday for a 3-day reversal. But Monday's high and low will help us establish and how that closes. So this is separate from a specific trade setup on Monday. We're talking about how when the week evolves. When Monday's traded, are we inside of a range? Has Monday broken out? Has Monday broken out of a previous day's high or low? And that initial high-low now gives us our thesis heading into day 2, the Tuesday. Tuesday will either extend the range as a new breakout. So it will, again, we will talk more about the day count, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 1 breakouts, day 2 breakouts, day 3 breakouts. Those are specific setups. So Tuesday, when it trades, will either trade inside as an inside day. It will be a first green day. It could be a first green day. It could be a first red day. It may be an outside day. We could have a day where Monday is a breakout day. They could take out Monday's high and reverse, but that range, that initial balance, which we're going to talk again, opening range and initial balance, we're going to go into a little bit deeper in the next video. That initial balance range, typically one of those extremes will hold for the high or low for the week in a large percentage of time. Once Monday, Tuesday have printed, one of those extremes will either become maybe a high of the week for a three-day setup coming out of the high of the week, a false break reversal, pump up and reverse, a dump. Or it could be a high-low day 0 setup for a consolidation for a parabolic move on Wednesday or Thursday for a vertical trend trade. We could get a low of the week short squeeze, but it's critical to understand the opening range and the initial balance. That will help us form our thesis for the larger moves. Now that's separate from understanding that there may be trades on the Monday and Tuesday themselves as part of a 3-day setup going into the new week. But Monday, Tuesday at the beginning of the week will help us establish the range and give us our thesis on a bigger 3-day setup. The market is constantly evolving. It moves from one 3-day setup into the next 3-day setup, into the next 3-day setup. It might be a 4-day setup because there's an inside bar. But you have to understand it's like waves in the ocean. It just keeps evolving and going. It keeps going. So these new week figures, these opening range and initial balance into the new week, will be part of our 3-day setup cycle in the 3-day rotational movements. We can get a reset and have another 3 days in the same direction. 3 levels of rise or fall. So that initial balance in some cases, which we can see often when there's major red news on the calendar, we may get an explosive move that may be the 3 levels in itself, which becomes a dump perhaps for a dump and pump trade setup over again a 3-day cycle. That major news like the Fed, CPI, we can have those large movers end up becoming pump and dump scenarios where the news drives the pump or the dump and gets traders further away, trading, caught on the next day as trap volume, and then we get the reversal trade. I'll just fix this. Pump and dump scenarios. Fix that right there. Again, a major red news. When there is no news on the calendar, let's put this in to clarify this. When there's no news on the calendar, no news, I expect the market to trade normally. meaning I don't have to be concerned about unexpected volatility, which is why I don't trade on the red news. And often if there's major red news scattered throughout the week, we can see 2 or 3 major moves. We might have 2 really good textbook perfect trade setups. So coming back to the beginning, high of week, low of week, do we have any false breaks at the beginning of the week or heading into the new week? Perhaps Friday's locked in a peak formation low, Monday's day 2, it's an inside day, or it breaks first day breakout at the opposite extreme of Friday. Tuesday continues that move, that sort of scenario. There's our initial balance into the new week. That's a 3-day setup. We could now get a Wednesday inside bar maybe and a Thursday reversal. So very important to understand this. As the week evolves, as we have our opening range and initial balance, that's when we will get into first green day, first red day. We can have a first green day and our first red day on a Monday. So if that's the case and that's our initial balance, I can expect perhaps a parabolic trend opportunity coming into day 2. That's the day 2 trend trade. We can get an inside bar. We can have a second day trade after major news or a parabolic move. We could have a short squeeze. These are where the session trades and the 3-day setups will evolve as we understand our range, how far the market has moved, and whether or not there's news on the calendar. No news, I will trade the session as normal per the setup. So that's the really big thing to understand, is on a day when there is no news at all and the market has a significant movement, 3 levels of rise or fall, currency 75 pips, gold maybe 150 pips, oil 150 pips, index maybe 250, and there's no news, they are pumping the market up to dump it or dumping the market to pump it. There will be a setup on a day where there's no news on day 1 or day 2, and the market I will trade as per normal, because there is a reason why they're doing that. They're either going to break one side, trigger breakouts on one side and reverse, or trap volume on one side. We'll go through some different scenarios. The one thing I really want to hammer home is, if I can't identify a setup, if I cannot identify a setup, whether there's news or no news, I am not going to waste my time trying to trade a market and have a theory or an idea of what it might do. I am looking specifically for these setups that are in the playbook to present and evolve, and as my thesis confirms or as that setup confirms, I am looking to trade that specific setup. We'll talk in the next module.